So, welcome back live to the Dublin Citizens Assembly. I would just like now just to break into the, you hear all that discussion in the background, those joining us online, that's the sound, as our Secretariat always says, the sound of deliberative democracy in progress. So I'm going to take 5 minutes of your time, and no more, no less, to announce the results of this morning's deliberations. Very, very interesting. I'm going to announce ballot paper number 1, then we'll have on the screen number 2, number 3A, and then we're still counting 3 Bravo, so that'll be with us very, very shortly. If you want to get out your ballot papers, maybe to tick at the box, tick some boxes as I go through this. So ballot paper number 1, and I'm going to announce. Sorry, I know the tension is palpable. I can feel it. I'm going to announce the categories and the powers that will be devolved, that you have decided should be devolved immediately to the directly elected mayor. And in the ones that we're going to read out now, that you can put a tick beside, the Assembly has voted by a clear majority to devolve those powers. And later on, before we conclude today, we'll give you the exact percentage breakdown. So from the top, these are the categories that you've decided. Arts and culture, sport, childcare, climate change, environmental biodiversity, economic development, emergency services, healthcare community, that's number 10, housing, homelessness, infrastructure, roads, footpaths, nighttime economy, planning, land use, strategic development. 17, support for the traveller and Roma communities, tourism and marketing, transport and waste management. So that's 14 out of the 21 categories. You have 15 out of 21, 15 out of 1 that you have decided that should be devolved immediately, which is interesting. The other ones have not been our education, primary, further education, Gaeltacht, health, primary, policing and water. And those marks came in approximately around the 35 to 40%, but we'll give you the breakdown of that later on. Okay, so that's ballot paper number 1. Please do, Secretary.
Just on that point, Mike, are we okay, Mike? Yeah. Just on the point of the 6 categories which Jim has just read out now that don't involve an immediate devolution of powers. We'll give you the breakdowns later on. In many of these cases, people have said that things like policing should be devolved in the future, in this 5 to 10 year time frame, or as soon as can be managed as well. So, but the immediate headline is that 15 of the 21 powers that Jim read out are for immediate devolution. So well done.
Okay, I have a question from Tebo. I'm not keen to take questions, but we'll take one if it's immediate on the ballot.
Brian, table 1. Was there any that we said never?
Yeah, we'll come back to we'll come back to that detail later on. Okay.
Yeah, but no.
No. Okay. I'm now going to show we have filled in on this table all of the ballot paper number 2. So maybe James, thank you. So from the top then, should there be a plebiscite of the local electorate of Dublin and to whether or not Dublin should have a directly elected mayor? 59% said yes, 39% said no, and 2% said I don't know. The second question was, if there is a plebiscite, should the proposal to be put to the people, including the powers of the mayor and the structures required to support the role? 63% said yes, 34% said no, and 3% said don't know. In terms of the role of the mayor, just that bit, James, thanks. The term of office, 87% said 5 years, 9% said 3 years, 4% said other, and nobody said I don't know. In terms of how long can the mayor serve, 84% said 2 terms only, 15% said no limits, and 1% said 1 term only. Should there be a mechanism to remove the directly elected mayor from office? 97% said yes, 3% said no. In the question of if the mayor was to be removed from office, how should it be done? 58% said either option, which was 22% said recall petition by the public, and 20% said removal by super majority of councillors. And finally, the independent financing and fundraising budgeting. The first category was direct elected mayor in conjunction with local democratic elected representatives should be able to raise funds from markets, investment bonds and loans. 70% said yes, 37% said no. Directly elected mayor in conjunction with local democratic elected representatives should retain funds from a portion of any taxes raised in Dublin. 92% said yes, 8% said no. And finally, the directly elected mayor in conjunction with local democratically elected representatives should be able to change or introduce local taxes. 88% said yes, 12% said no. Moving on to ballot paper 3 alpha, election of mayor. The election, what should the criteria for the elected candidates be? Sorry, James, if you just switch over, thanks, to 3A, please. Thanks. And if you have, can that be zoomed in, if any way? Okay, I'll read it out anyway. The election, what should the criteria for directly elected candidates be? 31% said aligns to councillors' election criteria, as in over 18 years of age, 80 years old and not necessarily an Irish citizen. 16% said not necessarily an Irish citizen and over 21 years old. 12% said aligned to Dáil Éireann election criteria, as in Irish citizen and over 21 years, and 8% said no restrictions. To be included on the ballot paper, a candidate must, 59% said gather an appropriate number of statutory declarations of support from the electorate of Dublin. 42% said provide an appropriate deposit. 18% said be nominated by a political party, and 8% said no restrictions. And finally, should the electorate for directly elected mayor be confined to 76% said people on the electorate register for local elections in Dublin, and 24% said people on the electorate register for the Dáil elections in Dublin. So that's 3 alpha. 3 bravo we're still working upon, and we'll give that to you at the very end. Lots of interesting information. That's deliberative democracy. Well done. Over to you, back to you, facilitators.